We are heading to the championship rounds. Going into the championship round. This is it now, championship rounds.
Championship Rounds Podcast, Episode 7. Today, I'm talking to my good friend, a TV presenter, a sports analyst, an all-around great guy, Dan Raza. We talk about everything from heavyweight boxing to UFC. I think we talked about Tekken at some point. We talk about it all. We're just going to jump straight into it. This is the conversation I had with him. This is Championship Rounds Podcast, Episode 7, with Dan Raza. I wanted to start off by talking about AJ's fight. Did you watch the entire fight with Takam?
So the AJ fight with Takam, yeah. I mean, basically, I was out that night, but I did manage to catch. Manage to catch the fight. Yeah, I caught up on it later. I mean, it was a decent fight. I think what happens is a lot of the time people fall into the trap of kind of saying that a fight wasn't fun or a fight wasn't amazing purely because they haven't seen an amazing knockout along the way, or they expect every fight to be like a 5-star classic. But you got to understand when AJ's now at that level where he isn't just going to be, taking people out within the first couple of rounds. Yeah. He's at that level now where he's facing proper guys. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be in some contests.
Yeah, exactly. I think like a lot of the people who went to the fight, I went to the fight, and I was surrounded by a lot of people who I think didn't really know much about boxing. In fact, one of the guys who sat next to me thought the Joey Cordina fight was Anthony Joshua. That's how bad it was. So, I think a lot of people.
How'd you confuse the two?
I know, man. He was sat there, and I don't think the Joey Cordina fight was billed to be before the AJ fight or something. So I think he was just reading off the program. He stood up and just shouted, "Come on, AJ!" And I cringed so hard. Someone had to tell him. It was
somebody must have called him out for racism, right?
I know.
No.
Oh man.
When the Premier League referee did it, didn't he? Right? He confused two players because of their skin complexion, and it's just not on, is it? You should know where you're at if you're watching a card. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know, man. It was everybody around me was. I mean, I heard people describing Carlos Takam. They didn't even know who he was. I remember I heard someone next to me say, "Oh, who's AJ fighting again?" And then someone said, "Oh, just some local pub boxer." I think they described him as, and I was like, "Oh, you have no idea."
How disrespectful is that, man? How disrespectful is that?
I know, man.
The thing is, there's a lot of fighters. There's a lot of fighters around Takam's level who have their own story. Like they're well-respected fighters. There's guys who are on Deontay Wilder's card as well, who have been in and around those sorts of levels. And I think the bottom line is if you're challenging for a world title, you've got to be up there to some degree. And there was people who were even thinking that Pulev was going to be a foregone conclusion, and it was like, mate, you have no idea. Like these guys are tough, right? That's why AJ's at that level. That's why people say that. That's why people say AJ's as good as he is. It's not about knocking guys out in the first few rounds. It's about being able to get in the ring against guys who are challenging for world titles on a consistent basis and winning the fights comfortably.
Yeah, I know, man. People just don't see it. That's what it is. It's boxing. It's the art of boxing. It's not the art of going out there and taking turns hitting each other, rock'em sock'em robot type until one of them hits the floor. That's not what it is. And I did feel there was quite a lot of disrespect for Takam because, obviously he's a man who's dedicated his entire life to a discipline and worked harder at something and being more passionate about something than most people on the planet could ever, wish to be. And then he gets, disregarded as just being there to make up the numbers. I felt quite bad for him, and I'm really glad and happy for him that with the performance he put on, to be honest. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I think this is the thing. I think everybody after that fight. Well, I don't know about everybody. A lot of people maybe was still in the camp of just kind of saying, "Oh yeah, he's gonna get knocked out anyway." And most people by the end of that fight thought that it should have at least been allowed to go on just a little bit longer. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, that guy, he was going to last 12 rounds with AJ. Lewis, he was going to last 12 rounds with him. And we would be looking at him very, very differently if not. There's a lot of fighters who've actually built their careers around lasting 12 rounds and just getting knocked out. Just never getting knocked out. Chisora is probably one of them as well. But yeah, I mean, Takam gave a good account of himself. He would have wanted it to go on a little bit longer, and I'm sure in his own head he'll be thinking, man, AJ in the last couple of rounds, he may well have been open, right? Because, yeah, the thing that we have seen with AJ is that he can go down. He can get rocked every now and then.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like you said, I think I was a bit gutted for him that it did get stopped as early as it did, because I think he was going to last 12 rounds. And that does do a, some people would see that as a win. I mean, do you remember the fight, I think it was Daniel Jacobs, the Miracle Man, when he took on Triple G? And he pushed him to that.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and man, that built him up to be such a star just off going 12 rounds with Triple G. So it would have done wonders for Takam if he could have gone 12 rounds with him. And I thought AJ was letting himself open far too often. I thought he was letting Takam get some clean shots on him. And I thought if one of those shots had the power behind it of someone like Deontay Wilder, I thought he could have been in a world of trouble, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Jacobs fight was there was a serious contingency of people who thought that Jacobs actually had that fight won. Actually over the 12 rounds as well.
I thought when I watched it, when I watched it live anyway, I think I maybe got a bit caught up in the story of it, and his story surviving cancer, being told that he'd never compete again, and that. And maybe I bought into that a bit too much. But I remember finishing the fight, and I thought he might have done enough to win it.
No, yeah, well, this is the thing. Yeah, you can say that as much as you want, but I think we always tend to have that idea in our head as when there's an underdog in the fight. I mean, I'm one of the few people always tell me I'm wrong. People always tell me I'm wrong, but I'm one of those few people who thinks that Amir Khan was up on the card against Canelo when he got knocked out. I'm still. Right. That's a little bit of bias, right? That's a little bit of bias.
Yeah.
There will be plenty more people out there watching that going, nah. That the stronger fighter was well ahead, but when you're watching a guy who's an underdog go up against such a big name, you are thinking to yourself that the guy is doing enough to win the round purely because you're getting invested in their story. I don't think that was the case with Takam. I think most people knew that AJ was up on the cards and AJ was going to win that comfortably over 12 rounds. But what it will do for Takam now is that it will give him a little bit more of a chance in the UK,
Yeah, I think, obviously it did give him a chance to launch himself. I don't think he does the best with promoting himself. I don't think he really has social media accounts. I remember seeing someone showed me his Instagram account, and I don't think he even had 100 followers because he just doesn't really concern himself with social media or promoting. But I think that fight will do a lot for him, and hopefully he'll get some big fights after that one as well. Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing you have to remember is that he's not. I don't think he can speak amazing English, can he? He's always got that. No, he can't.
So I mean, he's always got that, which is going to make things difficult for him. Obviously, I'm not saying that to be a good boxer you need to be able to speak English, but it certainly doesn't help when it comes to the marketing. When the powerhouses at the end of the day are Showtime and HBO, right? And even Eddie Hearn nowadays.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking about powerhouses, I mean, you saw Deontay? I mean, there wasn't much to watch, but you saw Deontay Wilder's fight?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I mean, it's difficult to miss, really, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you remember Vine? You could probably get the whole fight on Vine. Yeah, all the highlights up on there.
Yeah.
You know what? I can honestly remember, Lewis. I can remember 6 punches. I can remember 6 punches from that fight.
Yeah. It was ridiculous, man. I mean, Wilder was standing there with his hands down, just like taunting him, and just basically mentally saying to him, "I'm going to knock you out in a couple of seconds." I just couldn't believe what I was watching. The confidence in the man is ridiculous, and I think he's the scariest man in the division. I think, obviously, he's not the best technical boxer. I mean, by far, AJ is the best technical boxer, and I don't know if I could see Deontay Wilder ever beating AJ on points, but I certainly think he could cause AJ some problems with his power.
What, Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Wilder's the best technical boxer there is, but I think his power would cause AJ a lot of trouble.
Do you know what? Right, I have to disagree with you. Right, give me a second. I need to sneeze. No, it was a false one. The thing with Deontay Wilder is, right, I feel as though people underestimate him. Do you know that guy probably has a lot left in his tank? whenever he finishes somebody off in a fight, right? He did go 12 rounds before,
no doubt,
right? I mean, he has gone 12 rounds before. Hang on, I'm gonna have to do a quick Google just to remind myself who it was against, right? This doesn't make.
It was against this opponent, wasn't it? The rematch he just had.
Was it against Stevern that he went 12 rounds?
I think so. Look it up. I might be wrong.
I think it was Areola. No, it wasn't. No, it was Stevern. You're right, and that was in 2015, right? So he went 12 rounds with Bermain Stevern, and remember that was for the world title. Stevern probably put up a little bit more of a fight then because he was defending it, and obviously it was before Stevern's injury too, right? It's important to remember that. But the thing with Deontay Wilder was his punches are so crisp. Yeah, he lands he landed the left and right, right? The power punches. That's how he finished off Stevern. To the untrained eye, that just looks like he's clobbering him. It doesn't look amazingly technical, but it was so accurate. He's so accurate with his punches, and he knows how to time them well. So on the idea of him not being technically sound, I have to disagree with you. I think he knows what he's doing when he's timing those punches right, man. Like, he is a great fighter.
Oh, no doubt, man. I mean, he's my favorite active heavyweight, 100%. And I'm not saying he's not technically sound. Obviously, he is. I mean, he's at 38-0 for a reason. You don't get 38-0 by just having a good punch on you. But I think I just meant in the comparison to AJ, because obviously AJ, he was. When did he start? These people normally start boxing at a young age. They come up through the amateur ranks, sort of thing. I mean, Deontay Wilder, boxing wasn't always his love. I mean, I originally started off trying to make it in American football, and I think it was that athleticism that made it so easy for him to transition into boxing. If you know,
I didn't realize that actually. What was he started off as an American footballer? A lot of people do, don't they? I think it's one of those sports which trains a lot of disciplines as well. You just kind of got to be big and know how to use your body, right? So, I mean, you actually see quite a few people jump out of American football into different sports as well.
No doubt. I mean, one of my, I know he's not the best UFC fighter, but he's one of my favorites ever. Brendan Schaub. He was originally an American football player, and he didn't really have any aspirations for martial arts, but he made the transition just because he thought it was something he could be good at, and he just happened to have a good start at it, and it was that athleticism from American football that really, paid dividends when he made that transition. So it does breed a lot of good athletes.
No, definitely. I think, people that I'm thinking of as well, you got like Brock Lesnar. He started off in American football as well, didn't he? I think quite a lot of the people who transition into like martial arts or transition into wrestling as well. A lot of them come from American football. Because the other thing with American football is you got to remember a lot of people basically they started off in college, and if you don't get a contract at that point, well, it's not like there's lower divisions where you can go ahead and make your name. It's not like English football, right? It's not like soccer, if that's what you want to call it. You don't kind of get a second chance in the lower division, do you? Maybe I'm being a little bit, I don't know. Maybe I don't know an awful lot about American sports, but if you're not getting picked out straight after college level, you need to find another sport to get involved in, man.
Yeah, it is do or die for those sort of American college programs. I mean, there really is. I mean, you think about I know that basketball has the D League and things like that, but there often are. You either make it or you don't into the big league, and there's so many people who obviously fall out at the end of college. But some of them choose not to apply themselves in their academics and just focus their entire efforts onto their disciplines. So definitely does breed a lot of good sportsmen. So when they don't make it to American football, like people like Deontay Wilder and Brendan Schaub, then they've got nothing to fall back on academically, so to speak. So they just look for the next possibility, and that tends to be fighting.
Oh, mate, it's unforgiving, isn't it? Because it happens in football as well over in the UK. You get a lot of academy graduates who basically they get taught the bare minimum that basically they're allowed to be taught. The kids. In terms of qualifications, and then they get to a point where, well, the club doesn't want to offer them contracts, and they have got nothing to fall back on. It happens a lot. There's a lot of different documentaries and different like studies which have kind of like gone into it as well, and it is something that needs to be changed to some degree. But equally, you do get a lot of you do get a lot of boxers coming from different sports as well. I mean, I'm just thinking in my head right now, right? You got Curtis Woodhouse, who came out of playing football for Birmingham City and Hull City, I believe, as well. He went on to be a British champion at boxing, and that's a high level, man. That is a high level, right? I remember some of his fights.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's what a lot of people are comparing that sort of success to Rio Ferdinand's newest venture with this whole Betfair thing.
Yeah, I mean,
You heard much about that?
Yeah, but Ferdinand's a little bit older, isn't he?
What's your take on this?
I mean,
man, I think he's 30.
yeah, he's verging on 40.
And he wants to take up boxing. Honestly, Rio Ferdinand is in my top 10 footballers of all time. I love him. I recently finished both his books. I'm a massive Rio fan, but I'm a bit scared, man. I don't want to see him get, I don't want to see him get found out or get seriously hurt, especially after everything he's gone through, losing his wife and his mother and things. I hope this isn't just a rash decision.
Man, look, this is the way I see it with him. You know, when you've gotten to the point where Rio Ferdinand he's won Champions Leagues, like numerous Champions Leagues. He's won the Premier League multiple times. He's achieved everything there is to achieve in football. Now he's retired, right? He's doing punditry, which he loves, of course, right? Now, surely it get to that point and you've retired, right? And you need another challenge. Nothing is going to match what you've obviously achieved. So
Yeah.
I think it's that thing, isn't it? When you're a sportsman or woman, right, who's achieved so much, obviously gotten to an elite level, you're going to have that hunger for a challenge. And if one of his things on his bucket list is to go out and fight a boxing match, then hey, man, go ahead, right? Just make sure you get enough training in, right? Don't end up getting your ass kicked like CM Punk. But also, if you do get your ass kicked, take it on the chin, right? Because you basically had the balls to step into the ring and put your head on the line, right? Freddie Flintoff did it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, with Rio, I'm not saying I don't want him to do it. I'm just saying, I know because he's sponsored by Betfair, and Betfair are making a big program YouTube series out of it. I just don't want to see them rush the process and rush him into anything he's not ready for, just for the sake of entertainment. If you know what I mean, I want to make sure. I just want to know that he's doing it the right way again, the right training, and fighting at a level that he's ready for at the right time. I don't want to see him get exploited for entertainment purposes. But like you said, he's a winner in every sense of the word. So I have no doubt he's going to apply himself to it with a lot of discipline. And I know he's in absolutely phenomenal shape. I keep on track with his Instagram and things like that, and he's a beast, man.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, that's not going to be all that you need, right? But he's already got that conditioning. That's what you got to remember. He's got that conditioning that an elite athlete needs. But also, I mean, he was a centre back though. that's the other thing. Is he going to be able to run around enough? You know what I wonder, right? What I wonder is how good a boxer would an elite level basketball player make? Now, obviously, it would take a lot of coaching, right? I'm not saying, pick a basketball player, throw him in the ring, he's going to be great. But what I'm saying is, do you think basketball maybe could produce a lot of boxers? Yeah, you got a lot of gangly guys with long arms, man. That's a lot of jabbing.
Not only that, I mean, people overlook. I mean, basketball is one of my favorite sports. I follow basketball quite religiously. My favorite team's the Washington Wizards. I follow it. I followed it for the last couple of years now religiously. And honestly, man, people overlook them. They're some of the greatest athletes in the world. Their athleticism is absolutely crazy. I mean, they play sometimes almost three nights in a row, man. They play multiple times a week. Their conditioning is ridiculous. Their athleticism, their agility, their speed, they are all around monsters, man. And I think you're right. I think it could breed a lot of good potential for boxing.
I think I heard a story where there was one basketball player, I can't remember his name. He was he wanted to get in the gym. I mean, I think he wanted to get in the stadium early, right? So he could train and obviously play, because he was playing against Michael Jordan, I believe it was, right? I think it was Jordan. Right. Let me get it right. Who are the two greatest basketball players that people talk about? It's Jordan, right? And then it's the other one is
a lot of Kobe
Bryant, right? Yeah, true. No, but I think it was Jordan, the guy I was talking about, and basically the guys in there training like hours and hours and hours uh, before they've actually got a match going, and then to go on in the match and then continue to play to basically put on a great performance and play better than anybody else on the basketball field. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a ridiculous amount of dedication, and hey, that's one of the sports that I was never good at because you need to be running around an awful lot. I mean, you
Man,
underestimate the size of that pitch, but you're running up and down that thing.
man, they have some of the honestly, they have the best discipline in some of the best discipline in world sports. There's a video you should check it out. Do you know Steph Curry plays for the
Yeah,
Golden
I
State
do.
Warriors? Man,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a video where he stands there and he's hitting 3-point shots, right? And he just keeps on going until he misses, and he hits 77 of them in a row, and he's just there for ages, just drilling the same shot after same shot, and to the point where in one of the games following that, he made a 3-pointer with his eyes closed because he'd done it so much, and it's that sort of repetitiveness and that sort of dedication, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I'm not a massive like fan of basketball. I mean, in the sense that it's just be like taking up another sport to watch is just so much dedication. Like with all that I'm watching already. But like Steph Curry is known for his 3-pointers, right? Like that's his thing. Am I right? Like,
Yeah, man, he's the king. I mean, from the 3-point range, he's the king. But it's honestly, it is that dedication which I love about the elite sportsman. I just think that sort of dedication is so admirable, and I think a lot of especially fighters have that sort of potential to be, you know, the best of the best, but it is that sort of dedication that they lack, and it's that dedication that's special. I mean, I think if you take someone like Tyson Fury and give him the work ethic of someone like Steph Curry, man, he could be something just next level.
you know what? I think Tyson Fury did have work ethic. I don't think it's I don't think that's been a
Well, yeah,
problem
no,
for him. I think he's had a lot more like complicated issues. To be fair.
yeah, I mean, he does struggle a lot with a few mental health issues as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you got to remember that there was an absolute media tirade against the guy. He wasn't
That is true. He
celebrated.
hasn't had the best run.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I know. I know he does have a lot of. I know. I did hear a story about him the other day about when he started out, and they always used to tell him. I think I listened to an interview with one of his trainers, and he was talking about how in practice and things like that, he would always just do more than he was asked. And I know he was a lot dedicated. Well, obviously, no one gets to 25-0 in professional boxing without being dedicated. But I mean, recently, I think he's quite out of shape recently. But I really would like to see Tyson come back, because I think obviously heavyweight boxing is coming back into the spotlight. But I think a character like Tyson Fury just makes it the complete package.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you forget, right? Fury's got a better record than AJ. Even now, like even though he's been out for so long, Fury's
Oh,
still
no
got a
doubt.
better record than AJ.
Man, I think
He's
Tyson Fury is just he's an animal, man. I think people would be surprised. I think he would give AJ a lot of troubles technically.
trouble, man. Listen, you take 2015 Tyson Fury, and I he does AJ, man. He does, right? Like
Yeah,
he
I
will
agree, man.
he would beat AJ. What you've got now is you've obviously got like you don't know you don't know the factors involved. We don't know what Fury in 2017 possesses. We don't know what Fury in 2018 possesses because he's been out for so long, right? We don't know that. You'd have to do tune-up fights and various other things, but I don't know, man. Listen, GSP came back after a few years in the UFC, right? And he comes in and does his own thing. So I think it will obviously take a lot of training. But I
Yeah,
mean, I've actually
I
met
mean,
one of his old coaches as well.
oh really?
So carry on.
Yeah, man. You mentioned that GSP. We'll get onto that in a bit, but that still hurts me, man. Michael Bisping is my favorite mixed martial artist on the planet, so it's taken me a while to get over that one. I'm not gonna lie, but Tyson Fury, yeah, man. If you go back to you watch his fight with Klitschko, I mean, some would say he toyed with Klitschko a bit, and I think you give that 2015 Tyson Fury, like you said, to AJ now, and I think Tyson comes out on top quite easily.
Yeah, look, Tyson Fury in that fight. Like some people will not like to hear it. They will not. But I'm gonna be here talking pure boxing. Right? I'm not gonna talk about personal personalities or personal issues that the fighters may have. Right. End of the day, Tyson Fury versus Klitschko. Fury's win over him was far more controlled than AJ's win over Klitschko was. Just because the fight at the end of it says KO does not mean it was a better performance. But hey, look, styles make fights, right? Styles make fights. Tyson Fury's style made it difficult for Klitschko, and Tyson Fury won. AJ's style made it difficult for Klitschko, and AJ won. I don't think it's worth necessarily reading too much into the way that both the fighters won. At the end of the day, they both did it, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing I'd say is Fury never looked like losing, whereas AJ looked out. So
yeah, you can't read too much into what they call like boxing or mixed martial arts mathematics. You can't say this guy beat that guy, so this guy will beat this guy and things like that. But like you said, I thought Tyson Fury's display against Vladimir Klitschko was unbelievable. And that was tough for me to say because Vladimir Klitschko is my favorite boxer of all time.
Man, so I love him.
It was hard for me to say, but Tyson Fury, man, he's so impressive. And I was a bit disappointed he didn't end up winning Sports Personality of the Year that year.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to, man. Let's be honest, right? After what he gets caught on camera saying, right? He wasn't going to.
Man, he's the funniest guy, man. I mean, do you remember when he came out in that press conference dressed as Batman and they were cheerleaders with Tyson Fury written on it? Oh, man, it was hilarious.
No, definitely, man. Definitely. But the guy, like, I think he needed to get media trained, right? He needs to be more careful about the things that he says, right? Now, like, the thing is, when he says some of these things, right, the media will not take it in the context that he's meant it.
No,
you know what I mean?
True,
it will always get changed, and he needs to understand that, right?
There are too many, media sharks out there who want to make everything an issue. But I think you take that out of Tyson Fury, and you're going to lose something that's so pure and entertaining, man. I mean, I could listen to him speak for hours. I mean, I was listening to a podcast earlier called The Boxing Voice, and they managed to get Eddie Hearn, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury on a 3-way call today. And Tyson Fury is just Tyson Fury is just absolutely hilarious, dude.
He will rip into them.
I mean, oh man, well, him and Deontay, man, they were like best buds. They were saying they were all talking about which one's gonna soften AJ up first for the next one, and they're gonna take in turns battering him. Man, it was hilarious.
This is the thing, man. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say they're both dead confident that they're gonna beat AJ, and they both want to be the first one to do it.
No, but this is the thing, right? Both AJ and Fury are like that, right? Both of them are like very, very down to earth, right? I'm not saying AJ isn't, right? I've got no doubt whatsoever that AJ's a nice guy, right? But
no doubt.
the thing with Fury and Wilder is they are not afraid whatsoever of just having a laugh in the media. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not afraid to do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some people call it arrogant, but like, hey, both of them, they're world champions in their own right. Like they deserve to be arrogant.
Yeah.
People never called Muhammad Ali arrogant. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm not comparing the two of them to him, but nobody ever said, oh, maybe Ali should just tone it down a little bit. It's getting a bit too much. Do you know what I mean? Like let them have their fun. That's what I say.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree, man. I mean, AJ obviously I think AJ's at the sort of levels that he's at popularity wise, especially with the sort of younger generation. It's because he is that clean cut, carefully promoted role model with all the right sponsors and all the right backing. But I don't think Tyson Fury could ever be that guy because I just don't think that's him, and I wouldn't want Tyson Fury any other way. I mean, Tyson Fury, a lot of people hate him, a lot of people love him, but either way, you're gonna either tune in to see him win or get knocked out. So
no, this is it. Nobody's watching Fury, because actually no, sorry, let me rephrase that. Fury isn't doing it for merchandising or money. I don't think that's his thing. Like he wanted the world title, he proved his worth. He won the world title. It wasn't about him going on then and leading people on and fighting a UFC fighter just for the sake of it and just to sell ridiculous numbers of pay-per-view fights. If it was about the money, the guy would the guy would have signed for Eddie Hearn years ago, right? No disrespect to him, right? It's not about disrespect now. It's about the fact that for Fury, it's always just been about doing things the way he wants to, you know. And I think the thing with AJ is you got to remember that, heck, the guy's just looking after his image. There's nothing wrong with that. Why would he want to lose that female audience as well that he has? No, seriously, like it's not about the trash talking for a lot of the like the young women that watch him. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know, man, and I think that there is that element in boxing that I do like, where you don't have to trash talk or anything to sell a fight, and that's always what AJ's brought, and I really love that. But at the same time, I love, I think you need a bit of both, man. I mean, AJ, fair play to him, he's got that image. I mean, who wouldn't want to live the life he's living, man? He's living the life, but I think Tyson Fury's sort of proud of his I mean, he's the Gypsy King. He's not money driven, things like that. I mean, obviously everyone's a bit money driven, but that's not the main priority for him. He's there to be himself and win titles.
No, this is the thing, right? You see a lot of it in boxing these days, especially in mainstream boxing, where everything's just to lead you on a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Everything's just to kind of make you wait for something that's going to happen, and then the two best fighters in the world don't end up fighting each other until right at the end of their careers, and nobody ever gets to see the fight they want to. Right, Pacquiao and Mayweather were waiting to face each other for years, and then they have to make some sort of huge money fight out of it. But neither of them were at their best, and I just feel as though you get way too much of that these days.
Yeah, I agree, man. With the heavyweight division at the moment, man, you've got in the top of draws, you got AJ, Wilder, Fury, and then what else do you got? I mean, you got Dylan White, maybe, you got Joseph Parker, maybe, and then that's pretty much it. So there's not that many.
Pulev,
fight.
Fun? Pulev, you're forgetting Pulev.
Yeah, I mean, you throw Pulev in there, man. But I mean, I'm talking about the fights that everyone really, really wants to see. Everyone wants to see AJ versus Wilder or Fury. They're the fights, and we need to make them happen. I don't think this is going to be a case of a Mayweather Pacquiao. We're going to have to wait so long. I think one of the fights we want to see will come quite soon.
Listen, man, I'm telling you right now, if Pulev's name was James Johnson and he was fighting out of Sheffield or wherever, right, everybody would be wanting to watch him fight. Like, that guy is an absolute machine, right? He takes on anybody in the heavyweight division and he gives them a fight. So there's guys out there, but the problem is you've got plenty of guys already who are marketing machines, so people don't see beyond those names. You ask the casual fan who's in the heavyweight division, they will tell you AJ, Deontay Wilder, and then they'll get to who else? Who else do we get to? Right, obviously Tyson Fury, semi-retired. David Haye, right? He'll always get involved in the discussion, whereas David Haye is like he's not at that level of fighter anymore. I mean, heck, even Shannon Briggs, even Shannon Briggs is talked about.
Let's go, champ.
Do you know what I mean? But
let's go.
There's plenty of fighters out there on the rankings who are going to give anybody fights. And Luis Ortiz was going to be one of them, but man, he let me down. Down.
No, I know, man. I mean, I feel for Wilder there, man. It happens to him all the time, man. People getting caught just before the fight. I was really looking forward to that one as well. I was actually me and my mate were gonna break that one down. So I'm glad we didn't waste our time.
Oh, mate, it is absolutely ridiculous, right? It happens every now and then where fighters just end up pulling out. I mean, I remember interviewing the guy who was basically a lad. I forget his name, man. It was a lad who was actually based in Liverpool who was about to fight Roy Jones Jr. in the UK.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Roy Jones just like pulled out and it just never happened. It was a proper shame, man. Imagine that. Like, you're getting ready to fight a legend, right? You might well even beat the guy.
Yeah.
He just pulls out. I was at the press conference as well for Fury versus Haye, another fight that never happened.
Oh no. Oh, that's got it. Yeah, that is one of the downsides of getting yourself too emotionally invested in fights. I mean, that's what I get with the UFC all the time, man. I get too excited and then people end up pulling out. I mean, with this Garbrandt Dillashaw fight, that had to be postponed. I mean, we had to wait so long for this Bisping St. Pierre fight, but I mean, you brought her up, so we'll have to get on to it. What did you make of the return of the mighty GSP?
Do you know what? What I found funny about it was that the first round and the second round, all of the commentators were talking about was how GSP was gassing up. He had nothing left in his tank. Right, the guy is blown up. That's too much weight.
Yeah.
How is he gonna make it through these few rounds with Bisping, who is gonna last the fight? Right, Bisping isn't a guy who you can knock out early. Right, that guy is gonna last in the octagon. He's got immense stamina. GSP is not gonna last, and we saw it before the fight started as well. He was blown up, man. I'm talking. This guy is huge.
Man, yeah.
It does not look natural in that body. He looks like a WWE wrestler. Right, you put that guy in the ring with Brock Lesnar, and he would not look out of place. Right, but he still had that. He still had that technique. He still had that like fighter's instinct. And do you know, at the end of it, you know, he caught Bisping. Right, he caught Bisping, and not only did he catch him, he took him out like comfortably, because he was preying on him for a good couple of minutes before he took him out.
Yeah, man. I mean, to come back from honestly, I predicted Michael Bisping. I mean, I'm biased because Michael Bisping's my hero in combat sports, but I predicted Bisping would win quite comfortably because St. Pierre had 4 years off, man. You don't just come back in and dominate like that. I mean, Chael Sonnen came back. I think he only had a year out, and he ended up losing to Tito Ortiz and things like that. People say that ring rust is like a massive thing. I thought there would be too much for GSP, man, but he's one of those people, man. He's just the best of the best. He's in that top caliber, man, and maybe that'll never go away. Maybe there's no such thing as ring rust for people like GSP, but I was watching that fight. I couldn't believe I was watching it. Michael Bisping and GSP. I thought, is this really happening? I mean, I was shaking because I was so nervous because I just did not want GSP to win that. But when he sunk in that choke, man, my
Submission
heart
101,
stopped.
man.
I was so gutted. I mean,
Were you?
when Bisping won against Luke Rockhold on 12 days' notice and won the belt, honestly, I've never celebrated a win in any combat sports that much, man. Michael Bisping is my hero.
Yeah, but
and I was gutted.
Yeah, but Bisping's like I got nothing wrong with Bisping. Bisping's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But he is that kind of fighter that's gonna go in there and give everybody an absolute scrap. Bisping does lose fights. You know, he does. Yeah, he does lose them.
Man, he's got the record for the most fights in the UFC. He's also got the record for the most ever wins in the UFC. I mean, the man is a veteran in every sense of the word. So, you know, nothing but respect for him. He's talking about retirement at the moment. I don't think he'll get a shot at the belt again. But I'm glad he won it before his career was over.
He said he wasn't done. He said after the George St. Pierre fight, he said after the fight he wasn't done.
I've been listening to his podcast ever since it came out, the Believe You Me podcast, and he's always talked about how he could be done after this one or one more in Manchester to see him off. But, you know, I watched the post-fight press conference. He said he wasn't done in the ring, and then in the post-fight press conference, he said, maybe I'm done, maybe I'm not. So I don't think he's made up his mind. I know his family really want him to retire now, but, you know, great career either way.
Maybe isn't a decision, right? I think if a guy's saying maybe, that makes me kind of think that, you know, that guy's still got that. He's still got that want to fight, and I think as long as you've got that, it's going to be difficult to walk away.
But that's always what Dana White always says. He says if you got one foot out the door, if there's any doubts in your minds, then you shouldn't be doing it. So I don't know. Obviously, I want Bisping to keep going because he's nothing will ever draw me to a fight like Michael Bisping does. But you know, either way, he's had a class career. Like,
yeah, and the thing is, you got to remember is if I'm Bisping as well, I'll be looking back at the last 2 or 3 years and thinking, man, this is probably my best run. Now,
no doubt,
it is his best run, right? Because I think the guy went. You can confirm with me, right, if I'm wrong or not over here. But I believe The guy went 10 years in the UFC without having a title fight, right? I think
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Man, he went. Man, he's a veteran. He's always wanted that title fight, but it's never fell to him. And it had to just because someone pulled out against Luke Rockhold, and he was the first one to say, "Look, it's me. I'm taking this. My only chance." And damn, man, he took it.
Yeah, and it should have been him as well, right? Because my man won in the ring against Anderson Silva, and dude, like it was a unanimous decision. It was a 5-round fight. It wasn't an amazing fight, I'll say that, right? But he looked well in control against Silva. Yeah, Anderson Silva was a bit of a wounded animal at the time, but that set him off, didn't it? He takes out Anderson Silva, then he KOs Luke Rockhold, and then he retires another legend.
Dan Henderson, man. I mean, I actually, funny enough, I watched the Anderson Silva fight earlier today. I mean, I often do that with Michael Bisping. I just go back and watch my favorite Michael Bisping fights just to relive them. But I loved that fight against Anderson Silva, man. It was great, especially with Anderson Silva at the end of the third round thinking he'd won, and then they had to tell him that the fight was still going on, and then. Man, he's whipped some legends, man. I mean, Dan Henderson. I mean, I remember Dan Hardy in the Anderson Silva fight said that beating Anderson Silva is better than having the title. So
Yeah,
you know, he went on a crazy run, man. Big respect.
But you know what? Like, this is the thing, right? The title is good, right? But I think it's also nice to be able to have that freedom to kind of like fight who you want to fight as well. And some certain fighters get to a point where they don't need a title to make a name for themselves. I mean, sorry, not to make a name for themselves. Sorry, they don't need a title to make a to get hype around a fight. The only problem is if you're gonna main event a UFC card, it kind of needs to be for a title. I think that's the difficulty, and I think it's nice for Bisping to kind of like be main eventing these. To be main eventing, his last few UFCs, after such a long time.
Yeah, man. Definitely deserved. I mean, honestly, man, he's one of the legends of the UFC, man. He's fought more fights in the UFC than anybody. So I'm, he definitely deserved that title shot. It was a long time coming. Glad he got it. Glad he got his big payday. Joe, some people are saying that pulled in more than 1 million buys. So he must have got a very nice payday, which I'm really happy for him about. But yeah, titles these days, they in the UFC, they seem to get thrown around a bit. I mean, you look at the women's title, what did it go? Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, Misha Tate, Amanda Nunes, man, they just get chopped and changed so much that in the UFC, sometimes people don't really care so much about titles. They just want to see big fights.
The women's title, man, that was funny, right? What weight is it? Is it featherweight?
Yeah, because Joanna had the strawweight, and
right.
That was. Did you see that one? Joanna and Rose.
What, the Joanna fight? Yeah, man. Yama Yunus, like she shocked her, man. Like right. Like Joanna looked like she could not believe what had just happened. Like her face dropped, man. No, but this is it. Like she was like, "Yo, I should not have lost that. Did that really just happen? Did that really just happen?" Right? Because
dude,
like she's got that I don't want to lose attitude, man.
Oh, no doubt, man. She was saying that. She said, I was watching in the build-up. She said that her goal was to retire undefeated. That's what she said leading up to this fight, man. She was talking so much shit against Rose. She was saying, oh, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna murder you tomorrow. And Rose, man, she was saying that in her face, and Rose was just reciting the Lord's Prayer in her face. And Rose, man, she's probably the nicest person in sports. I mean, she, after winning that title, she didn't boast or anything. She'd give a speech about how she wants everyone to be nice to each other. It's such a
she did, man.
Crazy. I couldn't believe. She's like, I don't care about belts. We all just need to hug each other.
That confused me, man. Like, it did confuse me. I was just like, what are you? Yeah, she said, oh, I want to use my status as champion. I want to use my abilities to promote being nice and everybody being nice to each other. We need some peace. Yeah, man. Like, okay, like that's cool. I'm up for it. Right? She says, well, beating the crap out of somebody in the octagon, but no, I'm
yeah, no, man.
But like, yeah, Joanna, she said in the build-up,
she has the potential to be a star.
No, she does, man. She does. Look, yeah, I just was gonna say, like Joanna said before the fight, like she said, I'm the best in the world, like in the UFC, full stop. Right? Rose, nobody gave her a chance. Nobody gave her a chance. People are looking at her record and kind of going, yeah, she's not quite ready. She's a little bit young. 25 years old. She is young, right? But she's like, I don't know if I can name you many better people in the whole of the UFC who can lock in a submission like that woman. Like she is
No,
ridiculous.
people overlook the women too much.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like
Yeah, that.
like Rose has always impressed me whenever I've seen her fight. Like she's lost fights, like fair enough, but she does take risks, doesn't she?
No doubt, man. I mean, just one of those people. They say another person will fight. Everybody says that they'll fight anyone, anytime. But I think that she is definitely one of those people. That's what I like so much about her. She's, she has the ability to be, a massive, massive star if she's promoted right.
Yeah, man, absolutely, and she will be as well, right? Like I think anybody who holds either of those women's titles in the UFC has a huge chance. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously with the men's division, there's so many titles and it's hard to kind of keep it up, right? But with the women's division, you know who's got either title. Do you know what I mean? The only one who's maybe a little bit lonely right now is Chris Cyborg.
Yeah, well, I mean, these women. This is the, women's MMA is pretty brand new, dude. Like, I mean, MMA as a whole is quite new in terms of a sport, but women's MMA, especially in the UFC, is so new that these are the pioneers. These are going to be these people that Rose Namajunas, Joanna, and Jacek. They're going to be considered the legends one day. Like they're going to be, they're going to be the early pioneers. So destined to be stars.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. And I think if Ronda Rousey was able to kind of like keep herself together a little bit more about her defeats, like she would have such a chance to kind of like be to still be considered a great. But like I think she lost a lot of people's respect for like the way she lost the last fight, right?
Yeah, definitely not humble in defeat. And so I think with Ronda, I think maybe I don't want to disrespect to Ronda or anything like that, but like I think that she dominated in a division at the time that wasn't very good. I mean, a lot of people say it was a brand new division, that the main talent hadn't really come up into the division yet. She was just fighting the people contracted in the UFC. I mean, it wasn't until these new fighters like Joanna and Carolina and Rose and stuff like that, but people actually realize how high level women's MMA is. If you get me?
No, absolutely, man. And like it's just in MMA in general, right? Forget men, forget women, right? This is not boxing, right? No disrespect to the sport of boxing. This is not about what the better sport is, but in MMA, there are so many different variables within a fight. Right, you could face somebody who is ridiculously good at submissions, and you might not be very good at defending against that. Right, you may not be able to handle getting choked, right, for as long as some other people might do. Right, or you might get in the ring with somebody whose legs are that long or like that strong, right, that they can kick you in the head and you've got no defense about it. Maybe because you're a little bit shorter than them. Right, there's so many different variables in it that you are bound to lose some fights, right? That is the way that it works. The styles clash, and you're gonna win some and you're gonna lose some, right? Now, don't forget, Ronda fought some like top level fighters, but she's got to understand that, and it's not just her, right? I've seen other fighters make this mistake as well, right? You've got to understand that if you go in the ring against somebody who's got a particular skill set, you need to plan against that, and you need to understand that you cannot just fight your own way all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like Ronda did fight Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate won the world title like after that as well. Do you know what I mean? There's still some top fighters that have lost to some and then gone on to beat others and get back to the top. That's the way it works, man.
Yeah, man. I agree, man. No one's really gonna go undefeated in a sport like MMA, and it's not really about how many you win and how many you lose. It is about if you do lose, it's how you come through that loss. It's not like, oh, he's lost, so he's not one of the best. He's not going to be, considered a legend. It's how you come through those losses. And it's things like, like that attitude, like when McGregor lost to Diaz and the only thing he wanted, man, the rematch was made within days. It's that sort of attitude where you want to avenge that loss, and you want to use it to make you better. And it's that really makes legends. And I think that's one thing about people like Ronda Rousey that maybe was lacking is how to handle defeat. And with handling defeat, I hope I hope Cody Garbrandt does that. I mean, he seemed to come through that fight on the weekend, not so much humble, but with a lot of, in a good place, which I think is good for him, because I think Cody Garbrandt has the potential to be absolutely phenomenal for a long time. That was a good fight. Did you see Garbrandt Dillashaw?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That looked like a pretty decent fight. Like right from the get go, like it didn't disappoint. Although TJ Dillashaw did seem to control the fight right from the start as well. Like he managed to control the ring quite well. I think Garbrandt was always pretty much on the back foot. There were times obviously where Garbrandt did show his potential, but like I think Dillashaw controlled that, man.
Yeah, man, they did both clip each other. I mean, Garbrandt came close to finishing Dillashaw, but he was saved by the bell. But there was a lot of bad blood going into that fight, and I think Cody, with the story with Team Alpha Male, you had Uriah Faber and all that. I think Cody sort of carried that too much on his shoulders. I think there was way too much pressure on Cody to beat Dillashaw. To avenge the disrespect on Uriah Faber and things like that. I think he maybe felt the pressure a bit too much, and I don't think that was fair, especially because he's so young and it was such an important fight for him. So obviously I think those two are going to fight another 2 or 3 times throughout their career. I think that's going to be one of the great rivalries in UFC. So I really enjoyed that one. Obviously I wanted Cody Garbrandt to win that one, but I can't wait to see what happens, because I know Dominic Cruz has got a fight coming up, and I'd like to see Cruz come back and take on Dillashaw and see that rematch. Yeah,
man. I mean, I think this whole situation was just a bit silly, right? At the end of the day, like, I don't want to get too much into it, but at the end of the day, if somebody feels like they're going to get better coaching elsewhere and it's going to suit them a little bit better, that's fine. That's it. You go your separate ways. There's no reason to start talking shit about each other, and that's the way I see it. But like, definitely, Cruz getting involved in this whole love triangle would be interesting.
Yeah, man. I mean, they all hate each other in this bantamweight division, man. I think it was not just TJ leaving. It was that he started rumors that Uriah forced him to leave when that wasn't true and things like that. And I think it all got a bit schoolgirl type of behavior, and he said this and he said that. Well, at the end of the day, man, they just need to get on with it. It's not it's not a team sport. I mean, it's a team effort, but it's not a team sport. Like, you're out there for yourself at the end of the day. And like you said, if TJ thought that he had the potential with Dwayne Ludwig, then I don't see I'm a big Team Alpha Male fan. I love Uriah Faber. He's one of my favorites of all time. But I don't see the problem if done right. TJ, leaving to find better coaching.
Yeah, and you don't know what problems he had with them, right? They don't know that. Like, there's probably like things that Dillashaw wasn't happy with, and obviously Team Alpha Male, like, they are considered to be the best in the USA, aren't they? Or like at least one of the best. But I think we as outsiders need to understand that we're never going to know the full story. And it's interesting what you say about Garbrandt as well, having all that pressure on him, right? I think that pressure is what was a massive deciding factor in people like Ronda Rousey. Obviously, like I know just because we talked a little bit about it before, like I think that pressure is the kind of thing that makes it difficult for a fighter like that to come back, right? And Garbrandt as well, after that fight, there was still animosity after it. And what annoyed me was, right, Garbrandt's lost, Dillashaw's won. It was a good fight. They both got a little bit of offense in, and it lived up to its potential. And then one of I don't know who it was exactly, right? But then one of Dillashaw's cornermen comes up and starts chatting rubbish
to Ludwig, man.
Garbrandt straight after. Was Ludwig, was it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man, he wants to make it too much about himself. He wants his 15 minutes of fame. It's quite sad. Like, he gets involved way too much.
No, see, this is it, man. It's just go your separate ways, man. That's it, right? They had a fight, right? The Dillashaw won. That's cool, man. For all I care, right? Dillashaw winning. I'm not saying I have a favorite, but Dillashaw winning sets up a fight against my favorite fighter in the whole of the UFC, Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. Give me that fight, right?
That's gonna be
I will fly myself over to America.
insane if that happens.
Yeah, it will be, man.
Dude, yeah, Mighty Mouse is the goat, man. I mean, if TJ can get down to that weight, for sure, that's going to be a crazy one, man. I do love Mighty Mouse. I think he's everything pure about MMA. So I'd love to see that one.
Isn't like the one blemish on Mighty Mouse's career that people say that he's ducked Dillashaw. I'm not saying that because I love Johnson. So
yeah, people just say that he's ducked too many other big fights because he was focused on setting that record. And he did set the record, so I think now we have set the record. There's nothing to risk, and I think he will take that Dillashaw fight if it's offered to him. Because the thing is about Demetrius, he's never been that big draw. I mean, you think about this, right? He's got the record for the most title defenses in UFC history, but at the same time, he holds the record for the worst ever amount of pay-per-view buys for a main event.
Yeah, now this is the thing, right? That's probably because there's not an awful lot of there hasn't been an awful lot of competition for him at his weight class. I think I might get a lot of stick for saying that, but there's not a lot of other guys that people look at and kind of go, yeah, it's a dream fight. And I think the other thing is it's always difficult to promote a fighter at that weight class. It is always difficult when the guy's a bit smaller because people want like the casual fans want to see ripped guys who are a little bit bigger than them, hammering away at each other. Right, and especially in the mainstream, because you got to remember when Demetrius Johnson was coming up as well. Wasn't that the sort of time that Rashad Evans and Rampage Jackson and whatnot? They were the ones who were ripping up the UFC around that time, right?
Yeah, man, I agree. People just want to see that. People just love heavyweight and sort of that welterweight, middleweight, that sort of weight. But with Mighty Mouse, it doesn't draw the casual fan because his fights, they do tend to go into the later rounds, and it is more technical, and there's more things you need to appreciate about him. Like, you start picking on the nice things about his jab, his striking, his takedowns, takedown defense, submission, just everything technical about him that passes the casual fan by, and they just look at it as a boring fight, which as a big MMA fan, I don't understand, but I know a lot of people who are casual fans, and they wouldn't be able to tell you who Mighty Mouse is.
No, yeah, exactly. You're right about the technical thing. Like, I think most of his fights end up going the distance, don't they? Or at least like close to the distance. Close, yeah. He's good though, man. Like he never looks like he's running away from anybody whenever he's fighting him. He's constantly getting those kicks in. That's the thing with him. Like he's always got like a high intensity kind of like fight going. And as you say, man, you kind of just need to be able to appreciate it, I guess. But dude, man, look, he was one of the first few people I watched in the UFC, and I seriously enjoyed watching him fight. So I'm not sure why I think maybe the answer is putting him on the same card as one of the big fights. Put him on the same card as McGregor, and people will start to appreciate him.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, he was originally gonna headline. Was he gonna headline, or
which one?
No, he was originally going to be on the undercard for. I think he was not. Yeah, I think he was going to be below the Garbrandt and Dillashaw fight originally. So he's not. He's getting on the cards with these people, but maybe just doesn't have that. I don't think we'll see him main event a massive card.
Yeah, the other thing with him as well is he's just a genuinely very average guy, isn't he? Like, if you ever watch any interviews with him, he's just a chilled out, normal dude, man.
Dude, I mean, his passion. He does Twitch streams of him playing the nerdiest games all the time, man. He does Twitch hangouts with his fans. Everyone tunes in to watch him play Tekken and things like that, man. He's just so chilled out and normal. I mean, he's always streaming on Twitch. You go on his Twitter, and most of the time he's streaming live. It's crazy.
Oh, who's your favorite Tekken character? Who'd you like playing as?
My favorite Tekken character. Man, I haven't played Tekken in a long time.
I'm all about Eddie,
I did
man.
play a bit of the. I could never. I used to do my head in when people fought me with him, and those bloody yeah. He used to do my
Capoeira.
head in. But what's the guy's name? I say Martial Law. I love playing as Martial Law. That was it
I
for me.
played Tekken back in the day, right? And like you'd have those boss levels and you complete it, and you'd get like characters and stuff. And I seem to remember one that looked like a flipping scarecrow, right? And you unlock like a dude that looks like a flipping panda, like you can fight as a panda in Tekken. But
Yeah. I mean, Heihachi. I liked him as well.
yeah, exactly. They're great, man. But yeah, I didn't realize Demetrius Johnson did that, man.
Go check his Twitter out, man. He's streaming games all the time. I think he plays everything. It's just ridiculous. It's cool. I've tuned into a couple of them, but I'm not really into those the gamer games that everyone seems to play, like that sort of League of Legends stuff. And I think he plays a lot of that as well. So I don't tune into it all.
Yeah, same, man. I've never been able to get into them. Like I play mindless games, man. I play FIFA and I play WWE 2K. That's what I got right now. WWE 2K18. It's just mindless, man. Like you don't have to put a lot of focus into it.
No, man. I mean, when I bought my Xbox, I only bought it to play FIFA and UFC, and that's pretty much all I play.
Oh, the UFC game's fun because I can imagine like matches are really, really quick.
They're so fun when you start playing them online in the like ranked championships and you start versing people who know what they're doing with like takedowns and things like that. Because trust me, dude, I've knocked people out online and I've jumped out of my seat and started screaming. I was that happy. Like it just feels so cool when you knock someone out. It gives you that sort of adrenaline rush and that release. Man, they're so fun. There's a new one coming out in February, UFC 3. So I'd pick that one up because I can't wait for that one.
UFC 3. Okay, yeah, no, I saw that. Right,
UFC
Conor McGregor's on the cover with 2 belts.
Yeah, he's on the cover again. The champ.
Exactly. Nobody else has been allowed to do that. Could you imagine if Demetrius Johnson did that? Like 2 belts. Never let him do it.
Man.
And I think now there's an element of McGregor as well.
No, I know, man. He is. He's a share of the UFC, man. He runs the show. He does what he wants.
Yeah, the thing is, when a guy draws that much money, how can you tell him what to? The dude sued the UFC, right? Like he did, didn't he? Or at least like he threatened to sue the UFC, right? Like,
dude, I think he's talked loads of stuff like that. Probably in the past, he's tried to.
Man, like the guy is awesome. He is like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of the UFC, right? You can't,
no, man,
you can't sack him.
It is. No way, man. I mean, there's something special about it when somebody comes into a sport and not only does well in the sport, but he transcends the sport. I feel like with the rise of Conor McGregor and that sort of character, man, it's gained this so many like with GSP now, right? You see a lot of people who are big mixed martial arts fans now, but they don't remember watching GSP fight. Like McGregor has literally transcended the sport into the phenomenon it is at the moment, and that's crazy when someone can come into a sport and do that.
Dude, the guy's a meme, right? Like the guy like goes viral on the internet because he's so funny, right? Like I like the one of my favorite ever moments was when someone, I can't even remember, was it Cowboy Donald Cerrone? Like it wasn't even Cerrone. No, I think McGregor was addressing Cerrone, right? And somebody in the back says, "Why don't you fight me?" Right? And McGregor turns around with "Who the are you?" Like, I flipping love that. Yeah. Like that just made me laugh. Like the timing, man.
Jeremy Stevens, who the fuck is that guy? Yeah, that was hilarious, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, did you see what he did, Jeremy Stevens? Man,
no, what?
You know what he was at? He was on a night out, but he was out and he took a picture with Conor McGregor's mother, put her on Twitter, and said, "Your mom knows who this guy is."
Oh man, no, that's not cool, man. You can't bring the guy's mom into it. That's taking it too far. No, that's too far, man.
I'm not a fan of Jeremy Stevens, but I think he's just trying to talk his way into something. But you'll never get it. But no, man, UFC 217 was really good. I mean, my boy Wonder Boy won. I thought, as I predicted, Johnny Hendricks was awful. St. Preux with a awesome knockout of the night for me. and you might be happy that Mickey Gall lost.
Mickey Gall, no man, no. Listen,
You know-
I love Mickey Gall because of his entrance music, right?
Oh man, that won so many people.
You
over.
know what his entrance is, right? Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine.
Yeah,
You're my man.
Mickey also.
Oh, dude, if your name is
Dude,
Mickey, that's what your entrance music has to be.
that was cool. Like honestly, leading up to that, obviously me and you were big wrestling fans, and CM Punk is arguably my favorite wrestler of all time. And man, I thought I hate this Mickey Gall guy, and then after the fight, I grew to love Mickey Gall, especially when he beat Sage Northcutt. That was
It's ridiculous that he beat Sage Northcutt, man. It's ridiculous that he beat Sage Northcutt.
no, that was a great fight, man. Two young hungry prospects. I mean, so cool, man. But he wasn't great against Randy Brown on the weekend.
You know what?
I think he got picked apart.
I don't know who his opponent is. I'm not gonna lie, right? Now I'm never gonna say I'm a massive like expert on the UFC. I love watching it. I love watching martial arts, right? But I don't know everybody who's involved, and I don't know an awful lot about Mickey Gall's opponent. Is he somebody who's like at a good level?
He was picked up the same way Mickey Gall was picked up, like on that YouTube show Dana White looking for a fight. He just got picked up on that.
Jeez, man.
So that's how those two guys started fighting, and Mickey Gall lost, but I'm sure he'll be back, and he's a prospect. I mean, we haven't seen too much of him, so we don't know what his full potential is. I think that was his fifth pro fight, so still a lot of room to.
I think what this means now is right now that CM Punk went over to the UFC to fight Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall now needs to make his debut on WWE. Give that guy an intercontinental title fight.
No doubt. Hell in the cell. No, man. Man, CM Punk's gonna fight again. I follow Duke Rufus on Instagram, and he always puts up pictures of his team's Rufus Sports fight schedule, and on the fight schedule it says UFC fights, and it says CM Punk versus TBA. So I think that confirms that we are going to see CM Punk in the UFC.
Yeah, but how long was he saying he was going to show up and then kind of like held himself back? I've not got a problem with that, by the way. I've not got a problem with that because if you're making your debut in a sport, you're coming into a sport like UFC, take as much time as you want, man. Like, don't rush yourself into it. But there's always going to be that chance that CM Punk isn't going to be ready for that date,
No, I know they haven't set a date yet. I just know that they know that he is planning on coming back, and I know a lot of people want him to take amateur fights and in smaller organizations. But dude, at the end of the day, if you want to try MMA and someone says, "Look, why don't you have your first fight in the UFC?" You're not going to say no.
No, I've got no. Yeah, exactly. Why would I, as
don't hate him?
Of course not. Exactly. Why would I, as a former WWE champion, want to come out and go to, no disrespect to grassroots MMA, but like turn up to a show where you've got a few hundred people turning up when I can main event at UFC. Yeah. Well, he wasn't even a main event, was he? When I can turn up on a UFC card.
No, it wasn't a main event, but it was on the main card. He fought after Uriah Faber's farewell fight.
Exactly. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
That's something.
Especially when you're fighting a guy like Mickey Gall who's comes across as inexperienced. Obviously, he's not, but
yeah, I mean, I think people hate him. Why do people expect him to go and, at the end of the day, if the offer's there, he's taking. If someone said to me, "Hey, Lewis, we're going to sign you up to Man United, but." You can either choose to play for the reserves, or we can start you in the Champions League. Man, I'm going to pick the Champions League.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I know I'm not good enough, but
exactly,
I'll take
it. Right, and at the end of the day, right, Jason David Frank got people tuning in to watch himself fight on the UFC, and the only experience he had was through Power Rangers, right? And fighting monsters, different kind of fight. But no, I like it when you get these like names kind of come in and give it a draw.
Those two are going to fight.
What's that, sorry?
One Punk originally signed for the UFC. The Power Ranger dude was calling him out. He wanted to fight.
I remember that. Jason David Frank did call him out, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, I really wanted to see that, man. CM Punk versus the Green Ranger, man.
That would have been absolutely perfect, man. I'm just sad.
Comic book
I'm
stuff.
just sad that Jason David Frank never entered to like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme tune, man. Like that. That's what he should have done. Right.
Oh man, that would have brought him so many fans. Like, I mean, Punk came out to cult of personality, so I just have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm glad he did, right? And it will be worth it for that, right? But coming back to that point, right, that we made earlier on in the show, Punk left the WWE. He said he wanted to fight in the UFC. Punk fought in the UFC, right? He lost, okay, fine. But he made it to the UFC and he fought there, right? That guy just wants to do what he loves. The guy's making comics right now. You know? And if he's got the power to control his life the way he wants to, then heck, man, go for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's not going to be on his deathbed and think, "Oh man, I really wish I fought in Cage Warriors in front of 200 people." You know, you'd say, "Oh man, I never made it to the UFC," but he did. So you do these things. You're going to do whatever you want, and you're going to do it at the highest level you can possibly do it at. So, all respect to him, and I can't wait to see him again.
Yeah, man, you take what you can get. Listen, I've done radio interviews for stuff that I've been announced as an expert for that I've got no flipping clue about, man. Like, you take those opportunities, man. Like you cannot just sit down and kind of like say no. But there you go. That's CM Punk for you anyway. I don't know why we're on that topic, but WWE just happened and I'm really sad. So like I'm a big wrestling fan.
You got that spoiler, right?
Yeah, I got that spoiler, man. It's probably not going to be a spoiler by the time this comes out. Everybody already knows. But dude, they took the title off Jinder Mahal. It's over. No. It's over, man. Like I was getting so ready for Jinder Mahal.
He was coming up to break CM Punk's title reign, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he was.
Like his his record.
Yeah, he was, man. And they should have done it, and that would have been the biggest insult to CM Punk, right? And I'd have been all for it, right? Because
taking the worst member of the 3MB and made him beat your title.
Yeah, exactly, man. I love Jinder Mahal as well, right? I was all up for Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar, right? I wanted Brock Lesnar like F5 in the Singh brothers all over the flipping arena, right? And I wanted to see Jinder Mahal beat Brock Lesnar with the Khalas, just so I could see the internet, man. Like the internet wrestling fans, they make me. They honestly like make the sport for me, right? Like they've made it possible for me to love Roman Reigns, and some of the other guys purely because of the salt. But like now it's a shame.
So many salts.
Yeah, man, absolutely. But at least we've got AJ versus Brock Lesnar now, so there you go.
Yeah, man. All good stuff to look forward to. But I'm gonna have to start wrapping it up, because I think I'm being a bit loud. But yeah, man, I was really good talk. We went for over an hour there, and I could easily go on for a couple of hours. Like, that was a lot of fun.
Joe Rogan, this man. Let's go for 3 hours next time.
Oh, no doubt, man. That's the level I want to get to. But yeah, man, you have to come back on soon, and next time we'll talk about David Hay and Tony Bellew or something.
Yeah, hopefully, man. I hope your listeners enjoyed it. I do have a tendency to talk a lot.
Oh yeah, cool, man.
So
just before you go, where can if anyone enjoyed it, where can they find you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter.
Social media, TV.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Like, so first of all, like, you can follow me on all my social medias at DH Raza, man. So Twitter, Instagram. Don't really use it all else, but like DH Raza, man. That's it. DHRAZA. Follow me on there, and I will follow back. Especially if I forget to, obviously, just let me know. And you can catch me on TV on Saturdays from 11 a.m. on British Muslim TV. That is Sky Channel 845. And I do a 1 hour long sports show where we try to talk about everything, man. Like, we talk football, we talk boxing, we talk MMA, right? We even talk about cricket sometimes, right? So if any of your favorite fighters are like Freddie Flintoff or Adam Hollyoak, that's the sport they started from. Grassroots MMA, that is cricket. But no, absolutely. Catch me 11 a.m. every Saturday, man. Dude,
great show. I tune into it now, even when I'm not on it. I mean, you've taken over Soccer AM for me.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Man. Like, we tried to be different. We tried to kind of like incorporate as much as we can, because like as much as there's plenty of mainstream stuff out there with people who know far more about sport than me. it's nice to be able to kind of like say there's not many other shows that talk about all the
No,
different sports, and obviously Lewis jumps on every now and then too.
I do. And that's just an added bonus for you on top of the already great show it is.
Yeah,
I know.
man.
I know you do a thing on your Instagram as well, where if people DM you with their country, you add their flag to your bio, right?
Yeah, man. That's definitely not a ploy to get DMs. Like that's just
I'm not sure if you're aware with the new. You use Apple phones, right?
no.
Oh, dude, I was going to say
Why?
with the new Apple update, they've introduced the Welsh flag emoji, and I was kind of pining to get that in there.
The world flag emoji?
No, the Welsh flag emoji.
The Welsh flag. Dude, is there no Welsh flag already?
No, man, they only put it in the recent update. Getting treated like dirt over here.
Oh man, dude, I'll put a dragon on it. Like, no, seriously, like I put that flag thing on because like I think it's nice to network, and I think like a lot of people,
cool
especially on
I
social
like that.
media, like, dude, like people are shy, man. People are shy on social media. Like they don't want to say hi to anyone that they, even if they know that they might be a little bit of help to them. You know, it's a good way to just kind of like break the ice.
It's a cool idea. I like it, and I'm gonna hold you to that now, putting that dragon in there. So if everyone goes over to Dan's Instagram and checks that he's got a dragon in there, if not, harass him about it.
Yeah, totally, man.